Hi guys, I just wanted to welcome you to our final Varsity Board meeting of the year. Again, thank you guys for all of your hard work for making all of these virtual meetings work. Obviously, we would love to be in person, but you guys have done a wonderful job of being interactive with these virtual meetings and just being wonderful students like all of you are. So we're gonna get started. This meeting is going to be packed full of some wonderful information, so I hope you watch and stay engaged. One of the first things is I'm going to give some really quick announcements. During this meeting, we are first going to celebrate our seniors and those receiving our 4-year service award. We have an awesome guest speaker, and then I'm going to move right into our quick announcements. So after this meeting, you'll receive an email from me about some opportunities to get some of your last volunteer hours. So be looking for that. And if you need to know any of your number of service hours or meetings you've attended, you can email me for that information. Again, if any of you need any letters of recommendation or any information for me as the school year winds up, please let me know and I would be happy to get that information for you. Now we get to celebrate our awesome seniors. This year we have 39 seniors on our varsity board, and they are incredible leaders. They really have a heart for philanthropy, and I am just so proud of each one of them, and I'm so excited to see where they go from here. Seniors, thank you for all of your hard work, for your passion, for everything you've given to Cleats for Kids. We are just so proud of you. I challenge you to take Cleats for Kids with you as you go to college. Keep sharing our mission, keep being a part of the Cleats for Kids team, because we need you and we love you. Congratulations, and I can't wait to see where you go from here. Congratulate all of our students who are receiving our 4-year service award. These are students who have been on the varsity board for 4 years, so it's our seniors again. This group is really special to me. I have been with Cleats for Kids for 4 years now, so this is the group that I started with my very first varsity board. So to you guys, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for being with me as I learned how to do this, and you were right there with me as we made a difference in kids' lives across our state. So thank you for that, and congratulations on receiving this 4-year service award. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for this meeting. It's a good friend of mine, and he is a rock star resource for student athletes across our country. His name is Kevin DeShazo. Kevin is the best-selling author of Keep Chopping Wood. He's a senior consultant at Giant, a partner at Culture Wins, and the founder of Fieldhouse Media. Listen up, because he's got some great things to share. Thank you, Kevin, for being a part of our final varsity board meeting.
Set us up today. What are we going to discuss?
Well, kind of building on the weekend, I know I mentioned baseball, but also basketball. And there's a story that I got to experience this weekend that reminded me, it was a lesson for me in mindset and in the power of mindset. So Friday night, took my two oldest boys to the state basketball tournament here in Oklahoma City. A family friend was playing their team. This is the semifinals. So we took them Friday night and they won, which means they played for the championship on Saturday afternoon. So after a morning of baseball practice, home, quick showers, and down to what we call here in Oklahoma City the Big House. It's not quite Michigan's the Big House for where Michigan football plays, but it's the Big House Arena downtown Oklahoma City, and went to watch the school play for their first state title in school history. And so here's well, I'll tell you the first thing is that they won. So we'll just get to that point of the story. They won, and our family friend hit the game-winning shot at the buzzer, which is like every kid's dream come true. This is the shot that you shoot in your driveway. You're counting down 10, 9, and you hit the shot. Like, they win the game. And he did it. Like, he actually lived like every kid. It was unbelievable. So there's that part. So that's the outcome that maybe most people care about is they won the game. Our boys got to see what it looks like to win a championship, which is really what I was hoping for, is that they could like get a picture in your mind of like what excellence looks like, of what greatness looks like, of what I think it's important for us to visualize these things. But what I loved about the game, what I loved about the season, what I loved about this young kid in particular, and it multiplied into the team, is this kid's mindset. And I'm not saying this because he's a family friend. He is legitimately great at basketball. Like he is unbelievable. He's one of the best players in the state. He could go out and average 40 points a game every night. If he wanted to, he could just take over and score 40 points a game. But he wants to be a winner because he knows that if he did that, they would be losing, right? He'd be the hero. His stats would look amazing, but they would go home most nights with a loss. And so he defers to his teammates. He puts them in position to score. He puts them into position to make plays. He passes to them all the time, to the point, I don't even know, he might not have been the leading scorer in this game. That last shot may have put him over the top, but he's constantly looking to his teammates, putting them in position to succeed. And so for me, that's a mindset. Right? It's like he's not about his own ego. He's not about his own agenda. He's not about his own glory. He's like, no, I want us to win as a team. And so he doesn't do that, by the way, unless he believes in the people around him, right? He trusts them. He believes in them. He expects them to succeed. He expects them to be aggressive, to take shots. And as a result, they do. Because just as easily as he could take over a game and play hero ball, they could enable that, right? They could say, hey, just get him the ball and we'll get out of the way. You go do your thing, and then we'll go back and play defense. But they don't. Like they play with confidence. They don't just look at themselves as spectators. They look at themselves as players because he treats them as players, not as spectators. Right? It wasn't just him and these other guys around the court. Like they were a team.
And real quick, how did you see that? How did you perceive that just by watching him, or did you have a conversation with him?
Just watching him, and I know the family knows Dad, and I've had a couple conversations, not specifically about this stuff, but just to you get a sense for a kid. And listening to his interview after the game, it was like, man, my teammates were unbelievable. They trusted me. I trusted them. Like, yeah, I hit the shot, but this is all of us like working together. Our coach put us in position to win. And it wasn't your typical, like, cliche, like, oh, it was a team thing. Like he knows and believes that it was a team thing. And then you just watch him on the court. He would take or he would pass open shots that were his, that he could have taken to give his teammate a better shot. And his shots wouldn't necessarily be bad if he took them. He's like, nope, we need the best shot, not my shot. We need the best shot. And so if it was his shot, he would take it. Other times he was constantly looking for his team. And you just don't see that a lot, especially at this level, especially with a player of his caliber. But what that did to those players, like they believed in themselves, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't just standing there waiting for the ball, hoping things happen. Like they got the ball, they moved, they attacked, they were aggressive, they took shots. And as a result, they played like an actual team. And as a result, they won the championship. I mean, it was such a powerful thing to watch. And I had the conversation with my kids, said, hey, what'd you learn about basketball? And my oldest, he said, scoring 40 a game isn't everything. Mm-hmm. Said, that's right. I said, everyone has a job to do. Your job is to bring your best effort every night. I said, you don't have to be the best player on the team to make a difference. Because every one of those kids on the team, like they don't win if each one of those guys doesn't show up on purpose. If they don't have the mindset, like they have a job to do. They have a role to play, and that's not just to be standing on the sidelines as a spectator. And I saw the same thing, by the way, in Oklahoma State basketball, the college basketball team, right? They have one of the top players in the country, Cade Cunningham, and he could do the same thing. He could take over every single game if he wants to, but he consistently defers to his teammates. He's trying to put them in position to win. And that makes people want to play with someone like him. And he won Player of the Year in the Big 12. And I watched a video where Mike Boynton, their young coach, first-time head coach, who's doing an unbelievable job. And yes, I'm a little bit biased because I went to Oklahoma State, but he's doing an unbelievable job with these guys. But when Cade won Big 12 Player of the Year, he said, when we recruited you, this is one of the things we talked about, you being Player of the Year. And we put a plan in place to make that happen. And he said, but to the team, we also talked to you about bringing him in and making him Player of the Year, and how that doesn't happen unless we all step up. Mm-hmm. Again, he can be really talented, but if the team doesn't step up, it doesn't really do any good. And so that this idea of like greatness, true greatness, and it's the Sherpa mindset, right? True greatness is not about what you can accomplish. True greatness actually unlocks the greatness in other people. And so they don't show up with, I hope I get the ball today. I hope this goes okay. I hope he makes his shots today. It's like, no, I'm showing up ready to bring my best. And if I do that, and he does that, and he does that, and she does that, we have a chance to do something really special. And so that's what great leaders do, is like they believe in themselves. It's not an ego thing, but they know that at their best, they're bringing the best out in others. It's not about what they can accomplish. It's not about them being able to climb the mountain. It's about saying, hey, I know what it takes to get up there. Let's go. I'm going to put everyone around me in position to succeed. It's like, what are you really about? Are you about your ego? Or are you about the best outcomes for the team or for the organization? Mm-hmm. And that's a really difficult thing, because our culture really, really, really stresses achievement, right? You got to be the top salesperson. You got to be the top. No, what if you were on the best team? And you can be the best performer on a losing team, and then you're a loser. Not as a human, right? It's like, we're not judging people that way, but it's like, if you are the best player on a losing team, you're a loser. That's just reality. It's like, do you want to win, or do you want to score a lot of points? Do you want to get all the glory? Do you want to be the hero? It's like, the best want to win, and they know that they do that by helping others get to the next level.
Mm-hmm. So share some of these little things that you saw him doing out on the court that showed you that he was like a team player, that he was out for all of them and not just himself. Was it the way he looked at them? Was he doing hand motions? What was it?
Yeah, I think just the passes that he made to them, right? He was setting them up to succeed. He knew where they needed to be in order to help them succeed. So he would kind of direct them, put them in position, get them the ball when they needed it. Basketball is a really interesting sport. So let's say I'm going to shoot a three, or I'm open for a 3-pointer, and you're the point guard, and you're driving into the lane, and you see me open, and you kick it out to me. Well, if that pass is at my feet, and I've got to bend down to catch it, and then by the time I get back ready to shoot, that's not a good shot anymore. You've not put me in position to succeed. Mm-hmm. He was constantly putting his teammates in position to take the best shot, to make a move, to get to the basket, constantly deferring to them, even when he didn't have to. Right. Again, he would pass up his own shots to give them a better shot. I watched him celebrate. Right. He didn't care if his teammate hit a shot over a guy or at the end of a quarter. Like, he wasn't like, you see these kids and adults as well. Like, if somebody else has the success, like, their head kind of goes down. Like, man, I wanted to be the one shooting that shot. No, like, he was there celebrating his team. He's like, I don't care who made the shot. I want us to make the shot as a team. If someone makes a shot, that means we are winning. We're doing well. So he was constantly celebrating his teammates. When he messed up, you see this a lot as well. We love, especially from people with elite talent, they love to get frustrated with other people who aren't operating at their level. So anytime there's a mistake, they look to blame somebody. Well, you're not on my level. Now, every mistake he made, he's like, man, that's me. That was a bad pass. That was a bad shot. That was, whatever. Like, he constantly took ownership of the things that he did wrong. And again, leaders set the tone. So that showed, like, every action he took was showing his teammates, like, hey, I'm here for you. You can trust me. I'm not in it for my own glory. Like, yeah, he made the game-winning shot, but all game long, he was setting up his team for success. Mm-hmm. And that is a choice. That is a mindset. And part of that, by the way, that's been cultivated in him by his parents. Mm-hmm. That's been cultivated in him by the coach, because the coach could have also said, you know what, he's the hero. Guys, just get him the ball and you guys back off. But the coach was also like instilling belief in these guys and creating a system where the team got to perform at a high level, not just one individual. Mm-hmm. And again, it goes against the nature of our culture. Like, We have a scarcity mindset that if I'm not doing well, then I'm getting passed by. I'm not getting credit. It's like, no, somebody else doesn't have to lose in order for you to win. Somebody else doesn't have to be held back for you to propel forward. It's just not reality. Like, we've got to get out of that mindset and have a mindset of abundance. And so for him, like, I'm losing nothing by passing to my teammates and letting them score. In fact, I'm becoming a winner by doing that. Mm-hmm. And so we've got to realize, like, you can climb to a certain height alone. That height is exponentially higher when you climb together, when you empower other people to climb and take you to new heights. Because the truth is, he needed their strengths. He needed like, they don't win without their strengths. And so, and he realized that, and he didn't have to. He could have said, forget it. I'm going to score 40 points a game and go get a scholarship. That's what I'm really, right? I'm worried about my glory on the other side of this. Like, I want to get a scholarship. Well, I get to work with a lot of college coaches, and I will tell you, more of them care about you getting your team to a championship game than they do how many points you can score in high school. Because the second one, like, getting your team to a championship game shows what kind of person you are, shows what kind of teammate you are, shows what kind of leader you are, not just the kind of talent that you have.
That's great. So translate this into those of us who are watching that are in organizations and companies. What does this look like for it to be a team effort instead of that one person shining always?
Yeah, I think you have to get out of the mindset that it's all about you. And so I would think, like, one practical thing for today and for this week, how can you help someone else in your organization get a win? Right? And what does a win look like for them? And how can you help them get a win? Right? How can you help someone else in your organization have success, make progress, grow, get better, even if it costs you? Because it's not really costing you. You're building influence, you're building credibility, you're building a successful team. So you've got to get out of the way. Like, well, I'm busy, and if they get the credit, like, they're gonna see them doing the work. Who cares? Like, we have to get out of that. Who cares about credit? Just do the right thing. Be about making an impact, be about getting better, be about helping other people get better, not about getting credit, not about getting awards, not about, that's all ego, which is really just insecurity because you're desperate to prove yourself. Be so secure in who you are. It's like, I'm good. I need to make sure I help those around me get a win, because you build influence, you build trust. And then when they're going to do the same for you, and imagine what happens to your team if you're all fighting for each other to get wins. Well, then you're all making progress. So I think for us is to realize that in order for us to really succeed, like, real success is about helping others succeed. It has to multiply. If it's all about you, that's not a legacy that you want to leave. Right? For me, I think a lot about legacy. Like, I do not want my legacy to be like, he did some cool things. He was really good at no, I want my legacy to be, he made everyone he interacted with better. His family, his kids, his friends, his clients. If you just had coffee with him, if you passed him, like, if you sat next to him on an airplane, he helped you get better. Well, that doesn't happen if I'm only focused on me, right? I have to be thinking, what does the person across from me need, and how can I help them get a win?
Yeah, that's great. And I do see it in you. I see, even with the Monday mindset, this is your show, you could be the star, and yet you bring in lots of people to hear their advice, their tips and tricks when it comes to mindset, and you share that with them. And I love that. I also see it in, for me personally here at Giant, Jeremy Kubicek has done this for me in that he will bring me into meetings. Even when I first started at Giant and I was kind of unsure of myself, he would allow me to be in meetings with him and ask my advice, or I would just glean things off of the meeting, learning from him. And he does that a lot. A lot of people here at Giant do that. They'll bring someone in to sort of apprentice them. Yep. And it ends up sharing the spotlight, and they're able to use their gifts. And so I do hear a lot of people in different industries. Well, they'll say they kind of keep the gold to themselves, and they don't share it with those around them, where their team could just be elevated if they would just let them,
That's right. Well, we call that multiplying magic. Your best material, your best insight, your best expertise, it's not for you, it's for others. And so if you want it to live on, you have to multiply that to other people. And I will say too, like, if you're frustrated with how the people around you are performing, check your expectations of them and check how you're actually treating them. Because I found that people generally perform up or down to our level of expectation. So if you treat people as role players, they're going to act like role players because they don't think they matter. They don't think they really belong. If you treat them like leaders and you expect them to be leaders, like they'll rise up to that challenge. Like, man, they see value in me. Same thing with this kid, right? Like he didn't see his teammates as just kind of role players. He saw them as players. He saw them as significant contributors, and he treated them like that, which means like their mindset was raised. And so that shaped their actions, right? Mindset shapes actions, shapes our reality. And so treat the people around you as if they're leaders. Treat them as if they deserve your best, because they actually do. So raise your level of expectation and then raise your level of intention with them. And that's a great example of Jeremy and other people in Giant bringing people into a meeting that show, oh, you trust me in a meeting? Mm-hmm. Maybe I should believe in myself, because if you see something in me, maybe I should like re-examine some things. Absolutely. Right. Again, belief multiplies. And that's our job as leaders, is to multiply belief into those around us. Well, it's not going to happen unless you actually believe in people. And to believe in them means you trust them, means you defer to them, means you empower them, means you give of yourself for them so that they can get to the next level. Does it take time? Yes. Does it take sacrifice? Absolutely. And I think we have a culture where we avoid sacrifice at all costs. Mm-hmm. Right? We want convenience. It's like, no, there's a commitment, and it's going to cost you something, but you will gain so much more.
Yeah. You mentioned celebration. Talk to us a little bit more about, in practical ways, how you can celebrate the rest of your team so they feel part, so they know that they're a contributor.
Yeah, I think making celebration a consistent part of your culture, a consistent part of your rhythm or your routine, because people feel they do work, and then we just like, oh, that was what they were supposed to do or whatever, and we just move on. Well, celebrate the things that your people are doing, especially when they're doing the right things. Like, do not skip over celebration. Now, this doesn't mean you have to throw an hour-long party because someone made a phone call. Like, great, but celebrate success, celebrate the right behaviors, because what it shows people is that you see them. Mm-hmm. And I think most people just want to be seen. They want to be noticed. They want to like, am I doing a good job? And celebration shows like, not only are you doing a good job, but I see that you're doing a good job. And I want to make sure other people see. And celebrating someone is an act of humility. Like, it's elevating someone above yourself. It's like, I'm going to get out of the way and make sure you guys know that this person's doing an amazing job. You guys may not see it, but I see it, and you need to see it. They need to be honored and celebrated, because that's going to make them do even more. Yeah. Right. Like what gets celebrated and rewarded gets repeated. So that doesn't mean you have to give them like a raise, but like celebrating them is rewarding them, like rewarding them with honor, with attention, with praise, like that. People want to keep doing those. Like, oh man, that felt good. Okay. They do see it. I need to keep going and do even more. And so I think like making time, setting time aside, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's an email, whatever it may be, but certainly at least to that person, making sure that you celebrate the work that they're doing. Hey, I see you. You're doing the right things. I appreciate you. Keep going. You're amazing. Celebration is almost like a renewal of energy, right? It's like it just gives them that boost they need to keep going. So make celebration such a critical, especially, I think always, especially in times like the season we're in right now. It's just been a hard year, a lot of adversity. And we tend to get so focused on the problems that we're trying to solve and on the adversity that keeps coming our way from every direction that we've kind of skipped over celebration. And so I think maybe this week, like get intentional again with celebration. Like, find the things that are going well, find the things that people are doing right, and acknowledge and publicly celebrate those things.
Yeah, you hit it right there. Just acknowledgement. That's all most people want. And it doesn't take a lot, although there are a million ways to celebrate someone, from a gift card saying, hey, great job, go with you and your wife out to dinner or something, to a private acknowledgement is amazing. That feels great. A public acknowledgement is even better, to just point out during a team meeting, hey, so-and-so's been working on this, did a great job on this, so-and-so did this, Here at Giant, we use Slack for communication. And I mean, if you were able to peek into the Giant Slack communication that goes on 24 hours a day, since we're a global company, people from Australia are doing this, people from the UK, people in the United States. And there is just a big, hey, shout out to Kevin DeShazo for a great job on the Monday Mindset today. And then someone will pile on, and it just feels so good when you're the one that's getting it. And it feels good to give it to people, and for people to realize that people are watching and they see you, and that they notice your good work. And it makes, you're right, it makes other people go, okay, I want to rise up to that.
And I think it's encouraging for everyone else. Like, one, it shows them what matters. Oh, that's what they're looking for. Okay, let me make sure I'm doing the right things as well. Not so they get celebrated. They would just want to make sure that they're in alignment with the behaviors that are going to get rewarded, get celebrated, that are going to lead to progress. But it also makes people, it feels good to celebrate others, but also it's like, man, it shows what your culture is really about. It's like, this is a place that values people. I love it. And most people, like, that's where their culture is broken down. Is most people don't feel like they're a part of a team where people are valued. Nobody's saying that when celebration is a consistent and authentic part of your culture. And so it makes people want to keep going. It makes people want to look for ways to celebrate other people when the leader doesn't have to do it all the time. Yeah. And so, in an unhealthy culture, celebration can breed resentment. It's like, well, why not me? They didn't look at me. I did this. In a healthy culture, like, celebration just builds on each other. It's like, that's right. We should. So I don't need credit. Like, they did the right thing. Who cares what I did this week? Like, let's celebrate that person. And that just kind of goes around. And again, celebrate. It's overlooked. And I think, to your point, Tracy, it's because we think it takes too much time. Mm-hmm. It can take 2 minutes. It can take 5 minutes. I mean, yes, you can make it a huge ordeal, but it can be such a small thing with such a massive impact.
Yeah, for sure. Joanne is kind of joining us today on the Giant platform, and she asked a question. She says, helping others succeed is the most rewarding feeling ever. I agree. How would you approach a colleague that is not ready to see things from a different perspective or approach?
It's a great question. I think, one, you have to try to see it from their perspective, right? Because I'll speak for me. I spend too much time trying to convince people of my perspective rather than first understanding their perspective. Mm-hmm. And what that means is they're never going to see my perspective because they see me as ignoring them and trying to convince them at the same time. And so I think to sit and say, hey, explain how you see things. Walk me through. I don't see it exactly how you do. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm not seeing what you're seeing. So walk me through how you got to this place. Well, as they do that, they're just unlocking kind of the secrets to their perspective, and you're gaining clues like, oh, okay. And some things will be revealed to you. It's like, that is real. I didn't see it, but what they do see is real. But that allows you to at least listen, which is building influence. It's showing that you care. And then sometimes a simple phrase like, hey, I see that, but have you considered this? Or that may be true, and I can see where you got to that, but have you thought about maybe this? And giving people space. Like, I think we too often we expect conversion to happen in a conversation, right? That somebody's mind is going to change in one conversation. It often takes several. And so giving them a chance to like actually shift, people show up the way they've been trained to show up their whole life. And especially with mindset, like things are just set in stone, and we don't even know it. We don't even know what those kind of neural pathways are that are shaping the way that we show up because it's just been the normal for so long. I read a great story this morning of a guy who was speaking in South Africa. And so he took his family, he was there for a week, and they rented a car. And he said, not only did they drive on the wrong side of the road, but the car, like the driver's seat is on the right side of the car. So everything is messed up. And he said, normally it was fine, right? I'm turning on the wipers instead of the turning on the blinker. He said, but sometimes like I'm white knuckled as I'm trying to not go off the edge of a cliff, trying to figure out how I drive the right way. And he said, because I've driven a certain way for so long, I don't have to think about how I drive. So even me trying to do something different there, he goes, I was having to think about it, but it was still really hard. My old habits kept wanting to come back in and drive a certain way. Well, that's true for all of us. And so this person whose perspective that you want to change, it's going to take time because they've been driving a car that way for 20 years. And even if they want to change, it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of intentionality, and a lot of patience from us. So I think being willing to actually sit with people as they consider even changing their mind, let alone like actually starting the process to changing their perspective and their approach. I'm not saying this is a 6-month or a year-long ordeal. It depends on the situation. But people changing their habits, changing their approach, changing their perspective, it takes a little bit of extra work, and really we have to help them see why. Why should I change? Well, this is what it's like to be on the other side of you, or this is the impact that you're having, or whatever it may be. Do you see this? Well, is that in line with what you really want? Like, I think that's always a powerful question to ask people. Like, hey, what do you actually want? Well, I want this. Okay, well, you say that, and I hear you, and I want that for you, but do you see how these actions over here are actually taking you away from this thing that you say you want? You're going to have to try a different approach. You're going to have a different perspective or a different mindset. Otherwise, you're never going to get to this thing you want. But I think certainly, we just have to be better listeners in that process. Like, I just want to sell and convince and change and transform, and it takes time.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Well, we're coming to the end of our time here. Do you want to give any acknowledgement of this kid that has brought this wonderful topic today? I mean, do we want to say his name or not?
Sure. I don't think it's against any rules. And I would just say go, if you Google Reed Lovelace, REID, Reed Lovelace championship shot, like on Google, you'll probably find footage of it. There's an interview. I don't know exactly what news station it was, but there's an interview that he gave after the game that was just really, really incredible. But he's an unbelievable player. If there are any coaches listening, I put this out on social media. I'm like, if you're a coach who follows me or pays attention to me, you need to be recruiting this kid because he's just the kind of kid that you want to have on your team. But it's fun for me, and this is a thing for all of us to consider. Like there are always lessons to be learned if we're paying attention, even from the youth. Right? This kid's 17 years old, and so I'm always trying to be, and this is something I've been trying to get better at, but always trying to pay attention to the stories that are happening around me. One, so we have things to talk about on Monday Mindset, but two, so I can just constantly be in a state of learning and be present with what's happening around me so that I can always find ways to grow and things to learn. So be aware of what's happening around you today and how you can learn from all of those situations and all the people that you interact with.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we've got one more question coming in if you have time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Dr. Janet Walker says, if there are trust issues between a leader and his or her team, how does the leader begin to break that cycle and begin to create trust? Great question.
That's an incredible question, Dr. Walker. Because there's kind of two gaps, right? There's a competency gap, like we don't trust that they're good enough, and there's an integrity gap. We don't trust them. Something about their character, and that's really hard to overcome. Number one, like it's as the person who's maybe broken that trust, we wish that was just super easy. Like, hey, I'm sorry, and then things get better. You have to earn that, right? There's the old saying, and I'm going to butcher it, but it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and a second to destroy it. And so then you have to start rebuilding it, and it takes time. And so we have to not get impatient with people as we're having to re-earn their trust. But I think the first thing of that is just owning it, saying, guys, like I've not been the leader that I could have been, leader that I should have been. I've been insecure. My ego is kind of taken over. I haven't communicated well. Not trying to pile on myself and look for a pity party, but like I'm acknowledging like I wasn't who I should have been. I'm sorry. I realize that's created some issues on our team. I can't demand that you trust me, but I will re-earn it. Because at one point you did. At one point you trusted me. And I did some things to lose that. Doesn't mean there's massive, character issues, right? Or that there were scandals or whatever. We just did what most humans do, right? Our insecurities took over. We got busyness, distractions, whatever. But it's saying at one point you chose to trust me. I want you to know I am that same person and I'm going to re-earn it. I hope you'll give me permission to do so. Most people will respond well to that because most leaders don't do that. Most leaders just keep ignoring it. Like, I don't want to ignore. I'm just going to get better without ignoring the elephant in the room. No, you have to talk about the elephant in the room. You have to own the issues and say, I'm committed to getting better, and then do the work to actually get better. And because too often too, we apologize and then don't do the work. And it's like, well, then you weren't sorry. Like you're not actually trying to get better. You're still the same person. And so I think acknowledging it and then doing the work and just earning it, right? It takes time. So you have to be patient with yourself and patient with them because it takes time to rebuild that trust. And that's okay. Because if you do, it's going to be, if you'll commit to it, like if you'll actually commit to the process of rebuilding trust. And some of that may be, by the way, one-on-one conversations, like people that you may have hurt or wronged or whatever. Like saying, hey, I know, like I said it to the team, but I need you to know, like, I know I did some things that really hurt our trust, that hurt our relationship. Your relationship matters to me and I'm going to work to fix it. I hope that you'll allow me to do that. Again, most people will respond well to that. Not always, but more often than not, people will say, hey, I forgive you. Let's repatch things. Let's rebuild. They'll probably take ownership of some things that they've done as well. Cause usually it's a two-way street, right? You did some things and they retaliated in certain ways. So a lot of times they're going to own that too. So you know what? I played a role in this as well. When you do that, you can also say, great, now let's work to rebuild. And then don't keep reminding each other of the past. Well, I knew you weren't going to get better this one time. No. Like it's a new day. Let's commit to moving forward.
Fantastic advice. Well, that's a great way to end it.
Thank you guys for participating in our final virtual varsity board meeting of the year. You all are wonderful student philanthropists, and I love working with each and every one of you. As a reminder, this year we had our biggest varsity board of 160 students from 15 different schools. You all made that happen, and I am just so thankful to each one of you for all of your hard work and everything you put into making a difference at Cleats for Kids. If you would like credit for attending this meeting, please email me after you have watched this video to let me know, so I can give you your attendance credit. Again, if you need to know anything about your service hours or meetings you've attended, please email me and I can get that information for you. I have had a lot of questions about when the varsity board application opens for this next school year, which will be 2021-2022. That application will be available on our Cleats for Kids website and via email August 1st, 2021. As always, if you have any questions or any wonderful ideas, please email, call, or text me, and I'm always happy to talk with any of you. Thank you guys again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.